Mornings have a rhythm. You can hear it, feel it. And at Quaker, we fuel it. With 100% whole grain oats and a good source of fiber in every bowl, helping you turn that rhythm into your soundtrack for a great day. Fuel to start whatever's next. Quaker, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26.
Let's go! Let's go!
Ready to soundtrack your summer? With Red Bull Summer All Day Play, you choose a playlist that fits your summer vibe the best. Are you a festival fanatic, a deep end DJ, a road dog, or a trail mixer? Just add a song to your chosen playlist and put your summer on track. Red Bull Summer All Day Play. Red Bull gives you wings. Visit redbull.com/brightsummer ahead to learn more. See you this summer.
Welcome to the Susan LoPresti Wellness Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. This is your go-to space for midlife and mature women who are ready to reclaim their health, boost their energy, and live long, vibrant, and purposeful lives. Each week, we dive deep into natural wellness, holistic healing, anti-aging strategies, and healthy lifestyle habits to help you feel your best, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Whether you're navigating menopause, working through chronic conditions, or simply wanting to age gracefully and intentionally, this show is your sanctuary for science-backed insights, powerful stories, and soul-nourishing inspiration. So if you're a woman in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or older, and you're looking to thrive in the next chapter of your life, you're in the right place. Today, I'm truly honored to welcome a guest whose work beautifully bridges science, energy, and deeper wisdom of the human experience. Joining us is Dr. Lisa Avila, DC, a natural doctor, energy medicine practitioner, and Usui ReikiMaster, who has dedicated her career to understanding the intricate ways our physical, emotional, and energetic systems work together. Dr. Avila is known for her unique ability to blend anatomy and metaphysics, uniting modalities like chiropractic, applied kinesiology, neuro-emotional technique, homeopathy, flower essence, and Reiki to create a truly integrative and transformative healing experience. Her philosophy is rooted in the belief that healing is a creative and a collaborative process, one that empowers us to find harmony between body, mind, and spirit. In today's conversation, we're diving deep into the science of energetics, the emotional patterns that women carry in midlife, how energy blockages show up as physical symptoms, and the ways we can restore balance and inner calm through intentional holistic practices. So get comfortable, take a deep breath, and open your heart. This episode is filled with insights that can guide you back to your own innate ability to heal and transform from the inside out. Let's welcome Dr. Lisa Avila to the podcast. Dr. Lisa, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So I want to start by saying you have a very beautiful blended background in psychology, chiropractic medicine, and also energy healing, metaphysics, and so much more. Can you share that pivotal moment or experience that led you to integrate science with energy and metaphysics in your healing work?
That's such a great question. And I've been doing this for almost 26 years at this point, and no one has asked that question. I think I always understood that there was more than the physical frame and what we can see. I think I always understood, even when I was very little, that there was like a certain posture that went with a person's mood. There was a certain way that they carried themselves when they were in different mental states. And I think I was always one of those people that just felt like there had to be more to how a person operates optimally than just, eat your vegetables, drink your water. Like that's important too. Take care of your physical frame. But there was also, I noticed growing up on the South Shore of Long Island, there was a lot of people that wanted life to look really good, but they didn't really go the extra to make life live really good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think there was maybe not one particular moment, but there was a series of moments that went into my feeling of if you're going to take care of a person, you take care of all of the person,
Right.
which includes the mental state and includes the filter through which they see their own lives. Because when you can adjust that filter, then you can manage emotions that really damage the body, like shame and guilt, sadness, and anger, that can be very harsh on a system over time.
Yeah. I would say you were almost intuitive at a very young age. You were very sensitive to other people.
I always was. It took a while to put the pieces together, but I always was. I was that kid that would sit next to someone and feel what they were feeling. That's only half of it. The next half of it is what do you do with all of that?
Right.
If you're capable of feeling that, what do you do with it after you realize that's how it is for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that really was what is the basis of the work that I do. Because a lot of people do that. A lot of people can feel the other person very deeply. But then what do you do with it? And how does that hook into how your body functions, how your emotional state functions? Like, how does that hook in there? And that's, I think, really the basis of the work that I do, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So I know that you often say, because I did some research, that healing is creative. It's a collaborative process. So what does
Yeah.
that mean to you? And how does that philosophy that you have guide you in the way that you work with your clients?
The way I work with people most effectively is with the people who are open to homework, because that's not everyone. Healing for me, even personally, it was never a passive process. It's an active process. So if what you want to do is you want to, let's say you want to get around strong feelings that you have over a trauma situation, let's say a period of trauma that you've been through, that's passive treatment is only going to get you so far in that situation. And then you have to actively work to switch the focus that you see the world through, because trauma will color more than it feels like it day to day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trauma will actually be a force that will shift your focus in the world. And so you have to be active in order to turn that focus back to a healthier place.
And when you say passive, what do you mean by passive?
You can go to regular appointments. You can go and see a therapist. You can go and see someone like me. You can sit, there are so many practitioners out there that work with levels of trauma, whether it's physical or emotional, because I work with both. The most basic example is to change your diet. The most basic example is if you have, let's just say, an issue with gallbladder function and you love McDonald's French fries, one of those things has to give at some point. And there's no judgment here at all.
Right.
I judge no one for anything. I am a mandated reporter, and that's a joke that I give with patients. If you're thinking about hurting someone, I'm probably not the person to tell because I have to tell the state. But all joking aside, something has to give. And without judgment, I have those conversations really every day. Something has to give in order to make movement in a loop going on in the body that is not working for you. And so if what can give is maybe you eat those French fries 4 times a week, can we try it 3 times a week this week? And when are you ready to try 2 times a week?
Gotcha.
And so it's a
Yes.
negotiation, it's a partnership. But if someone was to say to me, I can't give up the French fries because emotionally, I need them because my life is really stressful. And I did have someone who said that to me one time he was a stock trader, and he needed 2 cans of red Coke to start his morning with. And he came to me for stomach problems. And he said to me, so I can't give these up. And so what we did was we stepped it down and worked around it to say, okay, so can we go down to maybe 1.5 cans? Can we go down to 1? Can we put a little protein in underneath it? Can we? So there's ways of jiggling how people live their lives and their belief system to break these feedback loops in the body. And that's my approach, because shaming anybody or my way or the highway is never anything that I feel like people heal from.
Life is compromise all the time. We're always compromising. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
always.
love that approach. I think it's great. I really do.
Thanks. It's more humane. And
Yes.
the more people trust you as somebody who's safe, the
Yeah.
more you're going to get done. If they
Yeah.
don't feel like it's safe to walk into your office, there's a limit to the level of healing you're going to get.
Yeah.
And you can give somebody a very complicated protocol of supplements to do the job instead of them being active participants, but I've never seen people stick to those supplement protocols long term.
Yeah.
So in this office, we're about lasting change as much as we can get it.
So, for my listeners who are new to energetics, how would you describe the science of how energy influences our biology and our emotions? So, what is energetics and why does it matter for our health?
That's a really great topic to talk about. And I feel like we could do 3 hours on that alone. But the examples that I give to people are, I try to make it very easy to explain how energy works in the system. I'll tell people about, did you ever know someone who was under severe stress and developed a stomach ulcer? Have you ever known or heard about the people who have had heart attacks from really great news? Have you ever known anybody who hears bad news and they can't eat, or their bowels stop working? They'll go either way. They'll get
Yes.
constipated or they'll be too loose. They have to run to the bathroom. Most people know someone like that. Most people know, like when you go down the list of the possibilities, most people know someone like that. They have someone that they know who wound up with a stomach ulcer, but was a really high strung person, was a worrier, a lot of anxiety. Most people know someone who, when they get upset over something, they either eat too much or can't eat at all. And so those are the beginnings of that conversation of how energetics weaves its way through physical functioning. And then for some people, this is New York we're talking from. So a lot of people have tried like liver cleanses, they've gone on fasts, they've done things like that. And so the next level of that conversation is, have you ever known someone who did a liver cleanse and they were really angry while they were doing it, or they were moody, or they were not as familiar to you as you're used to?
Yeah.
The liver is one of the organs that has to do with anger, the feeling of anger. So, as much as you can give people examples of how daily life and the fluctuation of emotions impacts the body in examples they already know before they came to your office, like the better that conversation goes. But there's also the conversation of, what do you do when you hear bad news? Do you say, oh, wow? Or do you say, oh, or do you go down to your stomach? When those patterns show themselves, you can show people how very easily it affects their functioning. A lot of times people who go, oh no, and they're touching their chest. I know you can't really see, but they're touching their chest. You can find a lot of times with those people, an awful lot of times, there's a lung thing going on. And so we have conversations about how the lungs are organs that hold grief and sadness and despair. And so how that emotion will interact with the physical functioning becomes more and more clear if you're patient enough to have the conversation.
Yeah.
So I hope does that answer the
Yes,
question?
it does. It does. Totally. It does.
Okay. Because like I said, that's a conversation that we could do 3 hours on that conversation alone. From core energetics and how different personality types will affect your posture and your physical development, all the way down to, like I said, where does your hand go when you hear bad news? Because most of us don't stand there in an anatomical position with
No.
our hands down when we hear
Right.
bad news.
Right.
We touch ourselves somewhere, and that organ shows us where's the likely storage of all of that emotion.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it's lung, because lung is sadness and grief. It's the emotions we try to run away from. Yeah. So,
Many women will feel overwhelmed, anxious. I'm a New Yorker as well, so it's
yeah.
crazy and I understand.
Yeah.
Or also stuck emotionally. So, from your perspective, what energetic patterns or blockages do you often see in midlife women?
Midlife women are phenomenal
They are.
because, because that's where we redefine ourselves. We
Yes.
rebirth ourselves. It's actually been stated as a second puberty. And I love that positive reframing because puberty is
Yeah.
never considered a bad thing. And yet, midlife is considered a bad thing for women. If you're hooked into society and what society tells you, which is, oh, look at the time. You're not quite attractive anymore in all of these multiple levels. Actually, we're more attractive at this age because we have learned who we are. We've learned what we will and won't take from other people. We've learned what society has told us. What do we keep and what do we discard? And midlife is where we separate the voices, right? We separate what society tells us from what maybe we grew up with. That wasn't ours, it was a belief system that was handed to us. But the issue with midlife, I think, it's just my opinion, is that we don't research women. We research men and extrapolate out to women. So there's a whole body of understanding that has yet to be discovered, yet to be adopted, yet to be implemented from our practitioners. And so for women in midlife, which I'm there, arguably I'm past it.
Me too.
Like a little on the other side of it.
But I didn't want to say, but anyway, yes, me
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I understand one New Yorker to another. But the thing is, we require a level of care that is physical, but it's so much emotional because at this stage of life, we are rethinking a lot of things. We're rethinking a lot of belief patterns, a lot of that lens that we see life through. We are hitting a different level of tolerance with how life has gone. And that requires this psychology to come in stronger during that. We need to help women understand that what they're going through and what they're experiencing is actually very natural and normal. And it also is, it's not studied. There is no roadmap. So we have to make it ourselves. We have to talk to each other. An example of this is the standard of a heart attack is an elephant sitting on the chest. That's the first feeling of a heart attack. Not for a woman, though.
Right.
That's for a man.
Right.
For a woman, very often the first sign that she's having a heart attack is a feeling that she swallowed a lump of food that she didn't chew properly and was a little too much. She'll get that lump in her throat, and the lump in her throat will then go into other symptoms. So there's differences between men and women that are not acknowledged or discussed based on the fact that we don't really research women. Not really. And so the good news with that is that it opens an entire doorway for us to really chart our own way forward. So yeah, there is the whole your gallbladder. If it was weak during your life, let's just say, it might start barking a little bit after 40, right? There's changes in metabolism, there's changes in hormone levels, but there is also tied in with all of that. Who are you now? Because we know who you used to be,
Right.
but who are you now? And how do we integrate that? And how do we make changes in life that are going to make you happy moving forward?
Yeah.
Because the same way a 7-year-old is not a 14-year-old, a 14-year-old is not a 54-year-old.
Yes.
There's changes that are happening there that need to be respected and need to be ushered in with joy rather than what I think the current societal whisperings are, and in some cases, not really whispering, which is if you're past baby making age, what good are you? If you're past the age of supporting a husband, building a career, then what good are you? And the younger generations are coming out with changes to that paradigm anyway. But for women like you and I, that was the paradigm.
Yeah.
Who are you now?
But I think women like us at our age, we're really stepping into our own. We're not embarrassed about it any longer. And a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
people are starting over in
yeah,
so many ways in midlife and older, like getting divorced because you're now empty nesters, let's say. Your kids are
yeah,
out of the house. Maybe your husband, your spouse has retired, and so now you're both home looking at each other saying, okay, now what?
yeah,
And women are, they're nurturers from when they're children. And at
yeah.
some point, they just don't want, that was my experience. I didn't want to be a nurturer any longer. I didn't want to be taken care of and making sure everything was the way it was supposed to be. Let's all be involved in that.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a certain shift to verbalizing.
Yeah,
It used to be, although men are catching up now, but it used to be that mostly it was a female thing for a hypothyroid, for your thyroid to be a little slow.
I have it.
Yeah, it was a female thing. But why is it a female thing?
I don't know.
It's your voice, right? So men are socialized to not as much feelings wise, but they're socialized that them speaking up is not a bad thing. But women were socialized to be agreeable. Women were more socialized to take one for the team, so to speak. And the team was the family or the marriage or the situation with the boss. Now I'm seeing more and more men showing a thyroid issue, which is very interesting given the energetics of it. But even parathyroid function, we see problems with parathyroid function much more in women. And the parathyroids are behind the thyroid. So it's still the same energy center.
Yes.
So then you hit a certain age where you say, you know what? I know I've done a lot of things and I've agreed to a lot of things that really didn't fill me up. It didn't nurture me. It didn't give me life, so to speak. It was in service and in nurturing, like you said.
Yes.
But now I want something different. That's when that whole energy center is going to open up. And that's when you're going to find.
So do you believe that if a woman changes the way her thought process is, so that was my experience. I was going through a divorce in my early 40s, and in order to keep things peaceful, I clammed up and didn't talk about how I felt, and right after the divorce, I ended up with Hashimoto's. I have an underactive thyroid. So, do you think that women can change that and fix the thyroid? Because my understanding is once you have it.
I've seen women's antibodies return to normal range.
Wow.
It takes work, though. It takes a lot of work. And I've so far not seen it with Synthroid. Legally, I'm not allowed to tell somebody to get off of a pharmaceutical that
Right.
was prescribed by an MD, but I've only seen somebody do it with a custom compounded pharmacy thyroid support, like a natural thyroid support. But the thing is, I've not seen it independently of having hormones adjusted. So there's other things that go into it.
Yeah.
And that's another really difficult conversation to navigate because we've been told for so many years, based on one faulty study in the early 2000s, that was done improperly with not enough subjects and not the right estrogen. That substituting estrogen in our bodies as we age is something that's going to lead to a cardiac event, or it's going to lead to a stroke. It's going to lead to something that will be debilitating. And so across the board, MDs have said, and rightfully, if they're being fed this information, they're not going to recommend it, but the information was faulty.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of conversations with women about it. But again, like you're going against a certain level of conditioning
Yes.
that really, it it really was terrible. The information was terrible. And we wound up really having lives that could have been so much more comfortable, so much better quality if we allowed for the supplementation of hormones. If we allow, but done the right way, which is the supplementation of hormones is not the pill, which that was my generation.
Yeah.
I'm 57, so that was my generation of growing up with your hormones aren't right, just we'll put you on the pill.
Yeah.
And if you were somebody that didn't have trouble with the pill, you were an unusual woman because there was the bloating and the digestive issues and the bowel changes because the synthetic estrogen wasn't absorbing properly. It was preventing pregnancy, but it wasn't going any distance to balance your hormones. So to circle back to the Hashimoto's situation, there is still a ways to go with the hormone supplementation. But in all of these years of treating, first it was mostly women, and now surprisingly, there are some men coming, which is just lovely to see. It's really lovely to see. But I've never seen a thyroid go, let's say, go offline, meaning it has problems working properly, whether it's a full Hashimoto's, whether it's pre-Hashimoto's, which is the thyroid swing. It goes fast, it goes slow, it goes fast, it goes slow, it goes fast, it goes slow. And so whatever situation you're in at the time the blood work is taken, that's what they act on, instead of acknowledging, all right, maybe we're in the pre-Hashimoto swing. I've never seen that happen without something else notable in the system going on, which is generally that the hormones are out of whack as well, and that the blood sugar isn't quite right. So that three trifecta of things needs to be addressed in order to take the Hashimoto's out of range, meaning that you're strengthening thyroid function, but you're also reducing the antibodies. And it's uncomfortable in a lot of ways because it means that you turn into that person who says, oh, is there gluten in that sauce? Because I can't eat it if that. And there are people who are embarrassed about doing that in a restaurant, so they don't. It's layered, right? There's layers
But
there, and
it's more prevalent. I have celiac disease, so
yeah,
I'm very cautious. And when I'm in a restaurant, I always ask the waiter, and they're good with it. But when it first, back 10 years ago, people would look at you like, is that a fad diet,
yeah.
gluten-free?
Or they would say, "Oh my gosh, here she goes. Is there butter in that? Is there is there gluten in that? What kind of oil do you use?" The waiter's standing there for 20 minutes, just
Yeah.
like the list of things. But the thing is, like I said, the thyroid doesn't go down on its own. It takes other things with it,
Yeah.
whether it's uterine function because it's connected to fibroids, or it's digestive function, or it's one of the other many things that it can be. But an interesting fact is digestive function has a lot of trouble when your kidneys are weak. And when your kidneys are weak, your estrogen levels are never right. They're always off. And so that's the way to snake around. So it doesn't look like it's a hormone thing, but it's probably a hormone thing if we get checked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Great information. Excuse me. So let's talk about some healing tools, kinesiology, herbal medicine, chiropractic, and also flower essence. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And then Reiki, of course.
those are modalities that I mix together depending on how I tailor the session for each patient when they come in. So there are people I've known and taken care of since the first year of private practice, and they still come in. You know them, but you also evaluate them almost as if you're first meeting.
Okay.
So you do know them, but you're taking that approach of, okay, you're asking the body to show you what's going on today. And if you do it that way, instead of doing it from the standpoint of, I'm the doctor and this person, I've been treating this person for 25 years, then you're open to seeing a little bit deeper into the system. But kinesiology it's an analytic modality, right? So you can use it to analyze the system to just say, all right, where do I start? Where do I start with this person? And an example of that could be like somebody comes in with back pain. Well, back pain there could be a misalignment, there could be a disc that is slid out of place, there could be kidneys that are a little dried out, there could be bowels that haven't moved, there could be anger, there could be a cardiac situation that's happening. So you're sorting through all of these layers, and kinesiology gives you the tool through muscle testing to find out, where do I start? What's going into this person's complaint? Because let's just say two people could come in with back pain and one's got something a little bit more involved going on than the other. And how do you know the difference? Kinesiology is how you know the difference. You muscle test the body
I
and you
think I
find
have
out
that
through,
done.
yeah, you
Is
find
it
out
like you
muscle
put your
testing.
arms out and then they say, fight against my pressure, and they're pulling you down and you're holding your arms up? Is it
Yeah,
things
that's one
like
of the
that?
ways to do it. That's one of the ways to do it. But you can also use any muscle in the body, and every organ in the body has a correlating muscle. So if you
Oh,
know that system of analysis, you can, let's just say for someone with intestinal issues, you want to test the quadriceps, right? The muscles on the front of your thigh. And if you muscle test that and it's weak on both sides, then you say, all right, so there's an organ thing that's underneath. And so that's just an example of it.
mhm.
It's more than just hold your arm out. It's every muscle in the entire body can be tested. And if it shows up weak on both sides, then you're looking at the organ that it correlates to. And that's a way of finding out, like, all right, so what am I looking at here? What's really happening with this? So it is that you use the deltoid muscle, right? When you
Mhm.
hold out your hand, you can use a deltoid muscle, or we can go straight to muscle testing the rest of the muscles in the body and finding out what's underneath the surface. So it saves time for you to have an understanding of somebody comes to visit me and they say, oh, okay, I have celiac. So you say, all right, what's going on with the intestines? Are they a little on the stronger side, a little on the weaker side? Where is the celiac situation? Then you would muscle test both quadriceps and see what's the tension from side to side. Does that make sense? That's
Yeah,
kinesiology.
yeah,
Kinesiology is, and it also includes like, where do I start? Because maybe the person is coming to you on their lunch hour and they had a fight with their boss before they got on the train and they're upset over it and ruminating over it. They'll
yeah.
come in and say, I'm just painting a very typical scenario. It's nobody in particular, but they'll come in and say, I'm coming in because my low back hurts. But maybe you have to pull them out of that ruminating attachment to my boss was harsh with me this morning. Because if you don't, they're on the table and you're saying, okay, relax and let go and let me make this correction in your body, but they're tense. So how you integrate all the things that you mentioned has to do with how you analyze a person,
Right.
how you analyze what's the most important thing. So Reiki is mostly allowing yourself to put a person into a relaxed state. It's a hands-on relaxation technique from Japan. And that's one way to describe it. But the other way to describe it is actually that it is a way to use your calm to give calm to another person.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah.
That's the best. You can get into all sorts of maybe a little more kind of ways of describing it, like you're channeling divine grace or whatever, but it's very similar to having someone be upset over something and you just put your hand on their arm and you talk to them softly, and
Comfort.
most people will come down
Yeah.
from that anxiety. If you keep your voice steady, you make your eye contact, you touch their arm or maybe their hand and say, okay, you're here with me and we're going to handle this. And that's the way Reiki works.
Hmm.
I'm giving you the overview because we have the
Yeah.
time we have.
Yeah.
There's, of course, more to it. You can get into the application through the different energy centers, but that's the way that is the best way to explain the overview of it. The
Yeah.
overview of flower essences is, I think it's a lot of fun.
I,
And it came from Edward Bach, is how you pronounce it, but it's spelled Bach. And he was a London oncologist who noticed through however he noticed it. I don't remember the exact details anymore, but he noticed that when you took certain flowers and you soaked them in water and sunlight, they can relieve certain levels of anxiety. And the story is that he left his practice and developed the batch flower essences, which is a collection of, I think it's 30, is it? Something like that. I forget how many flower essences, but that was the very beginning of using homeopathy for stress, for particular types of stress. Someone is feeling, let's just say, overburdened by responsibility in life. And normally they're very strong. They're like the cement that holds, let's just say, the family together.
Yeah.
But they're wavering. For that person, you'd give them walnut. You'd give them oak, which is like the tree that withstands any storm,
Yeah.
but it's just wavering right now. It's a temporary situation, but they're upset that it's wavering. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And then there are many other companies that have built upon these very basic flower essences and have become a little more involved, like the Flower Essence Society in California or Alaskan Essences. I work with them from Alaska. And then there are other flower essence companies. How I use them is I'll muscle test for them because there are so many emotions that people can't articulate,
Yeah.
but they know that they're not feeling calm, relaxed. For people who can articulate that, they'll say, I'm not in body and I don't know what's wrong, but I'm upset and I can't articulate what it is. For that, you'll find the flower essence, read them what the flower essence works on, and they'll say, yeah, that's it. So the muscle testing really works. There are some instructions about the way to do it to make it more effective, that when people have said to me, oh, the muscle testing, that doesn't really work. And then I ask them, if they're a practitioner, do you clear your mind before you muscle test? Do you ask a question? There are certain applications of muscle tests that will make them more effective. And that has to be active on the part of the practitioner, unless you are not really going to get very clear results.
Yeah.
So when you do use muscle testing on flower essences, you can really get to emotions that might surprise people, but they're emotions that they'll almost always say, oh yeah, definitely that. Definitely that. Some people will say, can I order that? Or can I buy it and take it over time? And generally speaking, I'll tell them just get one bottle because it's going to do its work. If you take it regularly, it's going to help you dissolve the connection to that emotion. To go back to the example, where you have a boss who maybe is not kind, let's just say, or not constructive in the way that boss deals with you, that's not really going to change the boss, but it'll change your reaction to the boss,
Yeah.
which in effect might change the boss down the road.
It probably will to some degree. That's a
Yeah,
possibility. I
yeah.
wanted to ask you, what are some practical or simple energetic practices that women can do at home to restore balance and harmony? What would you suggest?
There are various meditations that you can do, but the one I really love is a meditation where it really accents and works with the heart-centered nature of women.
Okay.
And it helps women understand that that's a superpower. It's not a liability. For some of us, we feel like it's a liability because maybe we didn't have that with boundaries for
Yeah.
the beginning part of our lives. Maybe we didn't understand the application of healthy boundaries. But this meditation works with that really well, which is if you sit in a chair and you sit upright and you put your feet flat on the floor, You're going to breathe in light that goes through the crown of your head and comes down the center, and it splits off at your belly button. Can be whatever color you want. And it goes down both legs, and it leaves your feet and goes to the center of the earth. And that's breathe in. And when you breathe out, you're pulling up gold light from the center of the earth.
That's beautiful.
That comes up, joins at the belly button, comes up through the head, and comes out and down. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is that it comes out through the heart. So what I've seen is that women who are upset over something, let's say big in their lives, maybe they're in the middle of a divorce, maybe they're in the middle of trying to restructure a relationship with someone who's not really wanting it to be restructured, come through the head first, and then graduate and come through the heart. And you'll know when you're ready. That's one thing that you can do. Another thing that you can do is, it's a lot, but it will shift you and it will ground you, and it's full wave breath. And when I say it's a lot, it's going to go in there and open you up. And it's good to do it when you have somebody who's going to be the banks of the river, somebody who's just going to help you shore it up. And that would be somebody like me, somebody like a therapist, somebody like a very trusted friend that you can tell things to and not feel compromised in any way or feel afraid or insecure. Breath work will open you up in a hurry.
Yeah.
And it will be ultimately a fantastic thing, but it might bring up things to the surface that are a little messy.
Yeah.
That's why breath work, the meditation you can do on your own by yourself. Breath work is good to have somebody nearby, but you can look up online Tom Good with an E on the end.
Okay.
Goode. He was my breath instructor, and he's got some very old videos online of breath work. One is with a woman she's on a table wearing black pants and a white shirt. And that's the link I generally send to people when I send them home to do this. So how breath work when it's full wave works is, and there's lots of different types of breath work out there, but this is just the one I was trained in. So when you breathe in, you're going to inflate your lower abdomen first between the belly button and the pubic bone. And this is the same breath in. So you inflate number one between the belly button and the pubic bone, then you inflate by your solar plexus, and then you bring it up and you inflate the heart or the top of the lungs. What you're working towards is when you breathe out, you go in the opposite direction. So what you let out when you breathe out starts top with the lungs, and then with the solar plexus, and then with the second chakra, or the area between the belly button and the pubic bone. And when you master, that is a vagus nerve reset. That's also a way for you to really oxygenate your body. So you might feel tingling on the hands and the feet. That's because your body really has not had the amount of oxygen that it could. And Tom used to say that the average person can lose between 10 to 15 pounds if they did this regularly and they did it the right way, because moving the diaphragm, which is connected to the base of the lungs where you're breathing in, but moving the diaphragm will really help you bring up and release trauma. It will be a vagus nerve reset, like I said, but it will also help you to move your bowels a lot more deeply than you have moved them before. And that will allow a lot of weight loss and changes in how much water you carry. So in a lot of ways, it's helpful, like I said, that if you're going to do breath work, that you have somebody who can be the banks of the river for you and help you shore up whatever might come up for you.
Right.
You can do breath work with an intention. You can do it to prime yourself to have a difficult conversation, let's just say. Anything I give you, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can prime yourself to have a tricky conversation. You can use it to get ready. Those are two things that I'll have people do. And if it seems like the person doesn't really love themselves, I'll have them look in the mirror and tell me one feature on their face they think is really attractive, really pretty, really handsome. And it's been funny through the years because people sometimes will come back and say, I didn't find anything. And I'd say, okay, do it again. We're going to do it again until you come back and tell me, even if it's, I like my eyelashes or I have an even hairline. We're going to keep doing it until it comes up.
Wow.
And some other things that people can do, they, like the breath work, they really require some level of supervision. There is something called the Tibetan Five Rites, which is a
Oh,
collection of
yes.
5 yoga moves
Yes.
that, when done with an intention, can be powerfully grounding.
Yes. I used to do that. I
Yeah.
totally forgot about that.
You can put an intention with those and you can do them. You only need 3 of each in the morning, just 3. And if you do 3 of each, that will, and it's 3 of number 1, move number 1, 3 of move number 2. You don't go 1 to 5, 1 to 5, 1 to 5.
Right.
You do 3 of number 1, that move is done. 3 of number 2, that move is done. That's online, but I've seen variations with how it's posted. I've been doing them for years and years. And they do default to the way I was taught to do them, which is very specific. You go up by 3. You feel like 3 is a little easy, you don't go up to 4, you go up to 6. 6 is a little easy, go up to 9. And you can't go up to 9 if one move is really hard. You got to keep them all at 6, let's just say. So there is a protocol with how you do them. If you pair the 5 rites with an intention, even if the intention is something that feels surface level, it's surprising, not really to me, but surprising to people how they actually get what they want. As long as it's not hurting another person or it's
Yes.
not rooted
Yes.
in something that's
For the good
nefarious.
of everybody.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
wishing somebody ill will, that always comes back on.
No.
You don't
Yeah.
want it.
Lisa,
But those
this
are,
was great. This was great. I
oh,
want to,
thank
before
you.
we go, how can people find you? Give us your website and all of that. And are you seeing new clients? Do you see new
I
clients?
am. Yeah, I am. And one of the reasons why is because I work to graduate people.
Yes.
There are people who will maybe decide to stay on because they really love the work, but they don't, I don't keep people regularly forever because I'm really working to get them to the place they want to go. So yeah, I am taking on new people. Probably the website is drlisaavila.com. DRLISAAV like Victor ILA.com. It's all one long word.
Okay.
And you can reach me through the website for questions. If I'm pretty good, I think, about entertaining questions, which is, I never mind. The way it is today, there's a lot of people to choose from.
Yeah.
And it's more satisfying for me if somebody is in the right place. That's satisfying work for me and so I work to try to help people to get to the right place and know something about me before they come in so they can have an idea of, is this what you're looking for? Because if not, I have a Rolodex of people I can refer you out to.
Yeah. Do
There
you see
is,
clients virtually?
I do see them virtually. Yeah,
Okay.
I do. And that's for COVID. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
thought, if you said to me before COVID, would you see people virtually? I had a one-off here or there. Somebody who wanted more philosophy and homework and shifting the lens and how could I see this differently, but it's progressed to a little bit more than that. And certainly energetics really work well long distance.
Yeah. I
You
was
know,
thinking because my audience is everywhere in the country. And so if someone is listening and wanted to connect with you and they're not in New York, they can connect with you virtually.
yeah, it helps if they're even more open to homework and lifestyle changes. That makes the work take a deeper kind of track to it. But you can reach me through email, info@drlisaavila.com.
Okay.
You can call. I'm actually in the middle of receptionists, so you probably will go to voicemail, and I'll just return the call as soon as I can. And the phone number is 212-532-6500.
Okay. And are you on social media?
I am making my way towards social media.
Okay.
I do
Because
have
I
an
will put the
Instagram.
links in this, because I'll put all of this information in the show notes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
will do that.
my
So,
social media is going to get a little more active, and I'm just working around that.
okay,
You know,
that's perfect.
yeah, my personality is a little bit more of a scientist than it is being very public and having my face on screen, but that's where it's going. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, Dr. Lisa, this was so great. I appreciate you coming on. You need to come on again because you have so much information.
I'd
Yes,
love to. Thank you so much for having me.
you're. Thank you so much for joining me for this powerful and enlightening conversation with Dr. Lisa Avila. Her ability to weave together anatomy, energetics, emotional healing, and metaphysics offers such a refreshing and hopeful perspective, one that reminds us that true healing is possible when we honor all parts of ourselves. As always, thank you for tuning in to Susan LoPresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who could use a little support and inspiration today. I appreciate you, I honor you, and I'm so grateful to walk this wellness journey alongside of you. Until the next time, take care of yourself, mind, body, and soul.
You can't reason with the sun. Trust us, we've tried. This summer, it's time to put that angry ball of fire on mute. Columbia's Omni-Shade technology is engineered to protect you from the sun's harsh rays that can burn and damage your skin. The sun is relentless, but so is our gear. Level up your summer at Columbia.com to spend more time outside and less time slathering on aloe lotion. You're welcome. Columbia, engineered for whatever.